Welcome back to Exploring Shasta County History. I'm your host, Jeremy M. Tuggle. Today we are in Alameda County, California, chasing Shasta County history, those who are famous, as well as those historical figures buried here. This is the family plot of Anton Roman. He is buried here, but without a marked burial. The name Roman is on this lot, just down from famous person David Colton, who the city of Colton is named after. Roman, a Shasta County pioneer. His wife was a Fletcher. A man named Anton Roman, formerly of Bavaria, arrived in California in 1849 and settled at Shasta in 1850. Roman worked at the nearby placer mines, earning his fortune, also mining on the Trinity, Klamath, and Siskiyou rivers. He was a well-educated person who loved to read, and he dreamed of establishing a bookstore to share his passion for books. His dream became a reality in 1851 when he established Roman's Books in Shasta. On June 14, 1853, a fire turned Shasta's business district into ashes within 33 minutes from the start of the fire. The fire started around 5 p.m. in the Parker House, and it was a major loss to the entire community. Roman had lost a total of $4,000 worth of inventory that night. Although the fire was devastating, eventually Roman would recover. 2 years later, Anton re-established his store as the Shasta Bookstore in a brand new fireproof brick building called Calican's Block, and it was located on Main Street. He rented the department store for brothers Jeremiah and Daniel Calican. By 1856, Roman had opened another branch of his bookstore in Wairika, formerly called Shasta Butte City, on Cohen's Block. In 1857, Anton opened a branch of his bookstore in San Francisco and started publishing books in 1863. Roman was married in San Francisco on June 3, 1864, to Eliza K. Fletcher. The newlyweds returned to Shasta briefly, and then they relocated back to San Francisco. To this union there were 2 children born, Cornelius Roman and Nettie Roman. In 1868, Anton began publishing the popular Overland Monthly, a California-based magazine, which was edited by his friend, famous writer and poet Bret Harte. Anton and his family were still living in San Francisco in 1870, and this is where his children grew up and were educated. Roman kept close ties with his friends in Shasta, and he visited the area frequently, especially on business trips. The 1880 U.S. Census lists his occupation as a book publisher, and 8 years later, he was dabbling in real estate. The pioneer continued both jobs into the 20th century until he died on June 23, 1903. He was 79 years old. Anton Roman is buried in the Mountain View Cemetery in Oakland, Alameda County, California. Charles Camden was born on January 29, 1817, in Aston Magna, Worcestershire County, England, to Joseph Camden and Mary Ann Smith Camden. His father was a lifelong farmer. Charles was one of their 13 children. He arrived in San Francisco on October 2, 1849, at the age of 32 years old, on the ship the Alta California. He did some mining in the San Francisco and Stockton areas during the California Gold Rush before he decided to venture northward in California to strike his fortune. In 1850, the pioneer arrived and settled with his mining partners Levi Tower and John Heineman in Shasta County, and erected a log cabin in 1852 upon the banks of Clear Creek. It was a one-room log cabin, which can still be seen today by visitors to the Tower House Historic District of Shasta County, now known as the Historic Camden House. The main structural walls of his cabin still exist in the main living room of this residence. It was purchased in 1968 from descendants of Charles Camden by the National Park Service, who restored it and preserved this cabin and its surrounding property that Camden owned. In 1852, Camden married Felina Tower, a sister of his mining partner. Camden, Tower, and another friend of theirs named Lucky mined for gold in the Clear Creek area. In fact, it was Camden who named the following nearby creeks, Granite Creek and Crystal Creek. He made the most money from his prospecting. Eventually, Camden erected a profitable sawmill on Clear Creek. Eventually, between 1854 and 1856, a water ditch with a flume was constructed by Camden and his paid laborers. This flume extracted the water from Crystal Creek to be utilized for his own personal needs. This water ditch still exists today and is maintained by the National Park Service. Presently, it has been turned into a historical hiking trail alongside Crystal Creek. Perhaps Camden's most successful business venture he made was when he purchased Levi Tower's Wagon Road in 1861 and transitioned it into a toll road with $20,000 of improvements made to it. This road was also called Camden's Turnpike. In 1912, this road was purchased by the County of Shasta, who declared it a free public highway, taking travelers west into Weaverville, California. This route is now present-day Highway 299 West. In 1865, Charles Camden located the first iron ore body upon Iron Mountain, which gave its name to the mountain, a 3,600-foot high mountain situated in the West Shasta mining district of Shasta County, California. Over the years, the property grew to contain the Brick Flat Mine, the Complex Mine, the Hornet Mine, the Little Nelly Mine, the Lost Confidence Mine, the Maddie Mine, the Minnesota Mine, the Number 8 Mine, the Old Mine, and the Richmond Mine. It became a celebrated, lucrative producer within Shasta County, California. Camden later went into partnership with Colonel William McGee, who became an owner of this lucrative mine. Eventually, they brought on James M. Lee as an owner, with them after Lee located an impressive ore body of silver upon the mountain. Camden died in Oakland, Alameda County, California on August 10th, 1912, at the age of 95. On July 17, 1913, it was announced in statewide media coverage that the estate of the esteemed capitalist and pioneer Charles Camden was valued at $1,114,939.51. The estate consisted of properties in Shasta County, Alameda County, Kern County, and San Diego County. Among the property was $16,803.38 in cash. The remainder of the estate was in real estate, bonds, mortgages, and stock. Camden bequeathed the majority of his estate to his daughters, Grace Camden Edwards and Mary Camden Wetmore, who were also the executors of the estate. Charles Camden bequeathed $10,000 to his granddaughter, Felina Wetmore, who also inherited a number of family heirlooms as well. Aside from Felina Wetmore's inheritance, Charles Camden bequeathed $2,000 to his nephew, Joseph Camden, and another $2,000 to his nephew, namesake Charles Camden. Frederick Holroyd Bacon Sr. was a native of England who was born to Robert Bacon and Louisa Holroyd Williams Bacon in 1855. Their surname was later Americanized to Bacon when the family immigrated from England to the United States of America about 1870 and settled at Shasta. Frederick was the youngest son of two children born to his parents. His elder brother, Edwin Bacon, was born in 1838, and both were well educated. Frederick Holroyd Bacon Sr. was an ambitious miner, prospector, landowner, and entrepreneur. In 1878, he married Virginia Frances Case Bolt, a daughter of Henry Case Bolt and Susan R. Goodrich Case Bolt. Bacon also founded the Bank of Northern California in Redding in 1888 with his business partner, Edward R. Frisbee, as well. He was a member of the Redding City Council from April 10th, 1888 to September 4th, 1889. There's even a reference from a local newspaper that he was appointed to fill the term of a City of Reading mayor in 1888, but he's not documented on the official listing showcasing the history of the City of Reading mayors. One local newspaper credited Frederick H. Dakin, Sr. with the following credentials to his name. Through his progressive work, streets were graded, sewers were laid, and the first fire system installed. He found success as a mine owner in owning the famous Uncle Sam mine in the lucrative Backbone Mining District of Shasta County, west of Kennett, which he purchased from the Sierra Buttes Company in December of 1898 with his mining partner and business associate B. M. Newcomb, who purchased the property for $150,000 and started working this mine. Dakin established the Dakin Company, which became the parent company of the Uncle Sam Gold Mining Company, and later this company was reorganized as the Virginia Mining Company. Dakin relocated his family from Reading to San Rafael, California, about January of 1900, where he originally intended on living, but then he later purchased a home for his family in Berkeley, California, where he resided the rest of his life. He made frequent trips to Shasta County on business affairs while looking over his interests there. During his lifetime, Dakin often worked the Uncle Sam mining property as well. The pioneer, Frederick Holroy Dakin Sr., died while in Alameda County, California, on March 25, 1917. He is buried in the Mountain View Cemetery in Oakland, Alameda County, California. The children of Frederick Holroy Dakin Sr. and Virginia Frances Case Bolt Dakin were Frederick Holroy Dakin Jr. and Case Bolt Clarence Dakin. Stacy M Nichols was a native of Loudoun County, Virginia, who was born to Isaac Gibson Nichols and Louisa White Nichols on July 25, 1856. By 1860, his family settled at Mount Gilead, Virginia, where his father was a farmer and he attended school in that area. Later, they relocated to Springfield, New Hampshire County, West Virginia, where Stacy is documented at the age of 13 years old on the 1870 U.S. Census. On May 27, 1879, Stacy registered to vote at the age of 22 years old, recording his place of residence at Shingletown, where he was farming. Then on June 4, 1879, Stacy M Nichols married Amanda Ellen Hammonds, my paternal great-great-grandaunt, and a daughter of Shasta County pioneers, Henry Hammond Sr. and Hannah Moss Hammonds. They were joined together in holy matrimony at Dara's Mill by Justice of the Peace J.S. Dara in eastern Shasta County near Shingletown. To this union, Amanda bore Stacy 5 children. The 1880 U.S. Census documents Stacy M Nichols as a farmer, and he's still living at Balls Ferry. Around this time period, Stacy pursued additional career opportunities and began running a boarding house at Balls Ferry with his wife. In 1886, he registered to vote while living in the Balls Ferry area, and after that he relocated his family to Ludwig's Bridge on Cottonwood Creek, where they remained while Stacy and Amanda operated the boarding house together at Balls Ferry. Nichols also purchased the Balls Ferry Flouring Mill, a mill which was erected by Alexander Love and formerly owned by Jonathan Carver. Stacy M Nichols relocated this flour mill from Balls Ferry to another milling site which was formerly owned by his father and situated on Ludwig's Bridge at Cottonwood Creek, and Nichols combined the two mills together. Nichols sold out to Andrew Leslie about 1889, and this mill became known as Leslie's Flour Mill. Later, it was owned by Luke Lukes and his brother Jason Lukes. The mill was sold about 1912 to Ed Carter, M.T. Howe, and Otto Trouts. They eventually relocated the flour mill to Cottonwood as Cottonwood Milling Company. Stacy M Nichols relocated his family south to Oakland, Alameda County, California, where his wife Amanda Ellen Hammonds died on October 3rd, 1897. She is buried in the Mountain View Cemetery at Oakland. Stacy survived his wife and is recorded as living at Alameda in Oakland, California in 1898, and according to the 1900 U.S. Census, his occupation at that time is listed as a railroad inspector. A search for Nichols in the 1910 U.S. Census only failed to accumulate any results, but a 1911 City of Oakland directory documents him as living in Oakland and working as a watchman. The Shasta County pioneer Stacy M Nichols died on September 20th, 1916, in San Francisco, California, at the age of 60 years old. He is buried in the Mountain View Cemetery at Oakland, next to his beloved wife, Amanda. A 22-year-old Hollywood hopeful named Elizabeth Short, usually known as Beth by her friends and family, was a native of Hyde Park in Boston, Massachusetts, who was born to Cleo Alvin Short Jr. and his wife, Phoebe Mae Sawyer Short, on July 29, 1924. Elizabeth was a very popular waitress and clerk who gained notoriety and fame in her posthumous life after her body was discovered in an undeveloped Los Angeles, California neighborhood on January 15, 1947, where she was dumped after being killed elsewhere. Short was brutally murdered, severed at the waist, in half, with her blood drained out of her body. She was posed in such a way that her discoverer, Betty Bessinger, originally thought she was a mannequin at first. The mannequin was confirmed as human remains by the local authorities at that time. Through California statewide media coverage, she became known as Black Dahlia for sheer Gothic-style clothes, and due to the Blue Dahlia Hollywood motion picture, which was just released into movie theaters at the time of her death. Her brutal murder intrigued the interest of many people around the world. Her murderer was never captured by the local authorities or the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and to this day, her murder case remains unsolved. Today, many adaptations of Elizabeth Short's biography have been told, from Hollywood motion pictures, newspaper articles, digital periodicals, documentaries, books, and television programs. As of today, there have been 17 suspects within the case. Authorities believe it had to have been someone with medical knowledge, possibly a medical student or a medical doctor who knew how to proceed in this typical line of killing. When the killer disemboweled the young female, the killer of Elizabeth Short also taunted police by mailing into them personal artifacts belonging to her. Presently, the case remains open to this day by the Los Angeles Police Department and the FBI. West Coast hip-hop legend Mac Dre, born Andre Hicks on July 5, 1970, in Oakland, Alameda County, California, to Alan Hicks and Wanda Salvato. Mac Dre made his debut in 1989 with the lead single Too Hard for the Radio while he was still in high school. His first album was released in 1993 called Young Black Brother on Strictly Business Records, which peaked at number 93 on the R&B hip-hop album charts. It sold well and became his best body of work. Its follow-up was released in 1998 called Stupid Doo Doo Dumb on Romp Records. Successfully, Mac Dre released additional releases from 1999 to the time of his death in 2004. During his lifetime, the rapper released an estimated 11 albums. Some of his most essential songs include The Zell Dance, California Livin', Feeling Myself, and Since '84. He has a variety of mixtapes, compilations, and features. He also helped establish the hyphy movement within the Bay Area. Aside from making hit singles, Mac Dre established Fizz Entertainment, which came to fruition in Sacramento, California in 1999. Fizz Entertainment is now owned by his mother, Wanda Salvato. Mac Dre was a resident of Sacramento, California. The word Fizz was a slang word for the drug ecstasy, which the legendary rapper dealt within the local rave scenes in California. Besides music, he was a troubled artist with legal problems and issues, and served time in state penitentiary. After his last performance on October 31st, 2004, in Kansas City, Missouri, the rapper and members of his Fizz Entertainment record label departed the concert venue in one of the company vehicles in the early morning hours of November 1st, 2004. An unidentified gunman opened fire upon the vehicle, which transported Hicks and his label mates along U.S. Route 71 when Mac Dre was struck by a deadly bullet that entered the back of his neck and tragically ended his life. He was rushed to a nearby hospital, but Hicks was pronounced dead on arrival. Mac Dre's estate continues to publish new music by him to this day through his record label. Born Ernesto Natalie Lombardi, a native of Oakland, Alameda County, California, on April 6, 1908. He was also known by his alias as Schnoz. Ernie made his Major League Baseball debut on April 15, 1931, with the National League Brooklyn Robins. In a game against the National League Boston Braves, the Robins lost that game 3-9. Lombardi batted twice in his Major League debut after taking over for catcher Al Lopez, and Ernie earned himself 2 hits and scored a run during his professional debut at Braves Field in Boston, which was witnessed by 4,000 spectators that game. Ernie played as catcher his entire career. He played professional baseball for 17 years on 4 different major league teams within the National League. His last game as a professional Major League Baseball player was on September 17, 1947, as a member of the New York Giants. Ernie Lombardi died on September 26, 1977, in Santa Cruz, California, at the age of 69 years. He was elected to the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame in 1986. He is the 4th Major League Baseball player I have featured on my channel, and the 2nd Major League Baseball Hall of Famer that I have featured on my channel as well. Henry Good Blasdell, the first governor of the state of Nevada, a member of the Republican Party, born January 20, 1825, in Dearborn County, Indiana, to Jacob Blasdell Jr. and Elizabeth Weaver Blasdell. Henry Good Blasdell married Sarah Cox in 1845, and they had 4 children. He relocated his family to California after his term as governor ended. Later in his life, his occupation was a miller. He died in Oakland, Alameda County, California on July 26, 1900. Henry John Kaiser was born on May 9, 1882 in Sprout Brook, New York, to Franz Kaiser. Henry made his mark in history and became famous for being an American industrialist known for shipbuilding and renowned construction projects. He also dabbled in shaping the American healthcare system. During the interim years of 1931 and 1945, Kaiser helped establish a number of companies to help build the Hoover, Bonneville, and Grand Coulee dams between the years 1938 and 1945. Kaiser made a significant contribution to the building of Shasta Dam near Redding, California. He won the bid to supply the Shasta Dam construction project with concrete. Originally, he was one of 6 bidders who were under bid to build the Shasta Dam. He was married to Bess Fosberg, and then he married again to Alice Chester. Kaiser died in Honolulu, Hawaii on August 24th, 1967. He is buried in the Mountain View Cemetery in Oakland, California. James Atherton Folger, an American businessman and pioneer coffee maker who established Folger's Coffee Company. He was born in Nantucket, Massachusetts, to Samuel Brown Folger Sr. and his wife, Nancy F. Folger, as one of their 8 children. He married Eleanor Lofran in 1858. To this union, 4 children were born. James Atherton Folger died on June 26, 1889, and is buried in this cemetery. James Atherton Folger. Ellen Folger. Ernest Rudolph Folger. Elizabeth Moffett Folger. Our next famous person is well known worldwide. His name may ring a bell with most of my audience today. And we come to the final resting place of Domenico Ghiradelli. If that name doesn't ring a bell to you, it should, because in 1852 he established our nation's second oldest chocolate company, and by 1860 his company went international around the world and became known as one of the leading chocolate companies in the world, suitable for drinking and baking. This is the crypt belonging to the Ghirardelli family, where Domenico Ghiradelli is buried. That's right, this is one of the crypts upon Millionaires Row. Domenico Ghiradelli was born February 21st, 1817 in Rapallo, Italy. He died January 17th, 1894 at the age of 76 in Rapallo, Italy. He is buried in Oakland, Alameda County, California. In San Francisco, one of the famous landmarks that is named after him is Ghirardelli Square. Upon his death, he was vacationing in Italy at that time, and his family had his body shipped back to the Bay Area, where he was interred here in the cemetery. The pioneer chocolatier married Carmen Alvarado, and she bore him 8 children. And last but not least, today's adventure brings us to our last famous person. This monument is impressive, and it's my second time here at this location. My first time was probably a few years ago. I was with Robert Frazier of California Unearthed, who was seen earlier in the video with me at Anton Roman's grave. But this monument is dedicated to the memory of Charles Crocker of the Big Four. That's right, Central Pacific Railroad. So, let's dive into some of his history, shall we? There goes my son Carson already making it to the top to the Crocker monument there. Crocker was born on September 16th, 1822 in Troy, New York, to Isaac Crocker and Eliza Wright Crocker. He married Ann Deming in 1852. To this marriage, 6 children were born, which included Charles Frederick Crocker, William Henry Crocker, George Crocker, Harriet Valentine Crocker, Alexander, and William Henry Crocker. Their father, Charles Crocker, died in Monterey, California on August 14th, 1888. The cause of death was a traffic collision which occurred a few years earlier.
George Crocker, Emma Hanchett Crocker, she was the wife of George Crocker. Charles Crocker, Mary A. Deming, wife of Charles Crocker.
Lacking a formal education due to family circumstances at home and having to assist his father at the age of 12 years old upon the family farm, young Crocker worked hard, learning the life of a farmhand. After a family dispute, he left home at the age of 17, and due to his energetic work ethic, learned the trades of blacksmithing. He also did oddball jobs upon local farms and in sawmills in the area. Seduced by the early reports of the California Gold Rush, he left Indiana for Sacramento, California, when the news of James W. Marshall's discovery broke out, and he tried his hand at mining. He went back home and then came out west again, leading a party overland to Hangtown, now Placerville, California. He brought his wife west to the Golden State in 1854 and eventually became a wealthy dry goods merchant in Sacramento with powerful connections to the following men: Mark Hopkins, Collis Huntington, and Leland Stanford, who later organized the Central Pacific Railroad. These men became known as the Big Four. Crocker was elected to Sacramento's City Council in 1855 and then to the California State Legislature in 1860 as a member of the Republican Party. Later on, Crocker became president of the Southern Pacific Railroad. These are just some of the accomplishments of the famous and notable historical life of Charles Crocker. Thank you for watching. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you haven't, please go on over and subscribe to Ready Buzz on Facebook and Instagram.